Hello, my name is Alexandru and I am a Romanian-born seeker of truth, a lifetime student in the Gurdjieff groups all around the world. And I have authored quite a few books on the Gurdjieff teaching, including books describing in detail the practical internal exercises and the famous movements and sacred dances. This channel is about the Enneagram brought by Gurdjieff, to whom we will always be grateful for bringing such a tremendous teaching and sharing it with us. Among my books about the Enneagram, you can see here the cover of Process Coaching with the Enneagram and the cover of the Business Enneagram. I also highly recommend the books written by my friend Adrian Mirel Petrariu, especially his grand opus, The Mythology of the Energy. Among his books on the Enneagram, you can see here the cover of the Gurdjieff Enneagram Origins and the fabulous The Enneagram of Thought. In today's video, we will continue to look at the stages of human life in order to better understand the whole process involving all the three octaves. This information is based on an example which you can find in greater detail in Adrian's book, Gurdjieff Enneagram Origins. This video is the second one in this series dealing with the stages of human life. For basic introductory videos about the main concepts of the Enneagram, please see the videos on this channel in the basic playlist. We will start with the individual level, the level of physicality, and then add the second and the third octave. In order to understand all this better, the nihilistic approach is terribly close to the truth. It is the succession of stages of the prison of the flesh. Remember, the general stages for the life of man have to be common to all, kings, beggars, everyone. So what are the mandatory stages of the prison of the flesh? Where the sexual energy is trapped during the entire life of a man. This is the logic that shall not fail us. Depending on the processes that are triggered, what happens in prison is different for each prisoner, but the prison is the same for all. So the prison works by providing resources and taking time in return, or by offering time with no resources. The result is the same, the deprivation or limitation of the movement of the physical body. So we will start with the physical conception. So the first stage is from 0 to 9 months. This is the transition from the sex energy level to physical level. And this is the development of the individual physical body. Transition from the liquid environment to the air environment. This is isomorphic to the great Enneagram of evolution of life on the planet Earth. From liquid to air. From the shock of conception, the form grows from molecular level, which is one level under the size level of the being, to the usual physical scale level of man. Because this transition happens under the subjective time of the moon, that is 9 moon years, year being a rotation around our planet Earth, this process begin an entire octave and an enneagram in itself, having as result a three-folded being, intellectual, emotional and physical. So this enneagram is connected with the woman's menstruation, regulated under the same time laws of the moon, in order to always be available for new beginnings. The power and the influence of the moon is over molecules and over liquids, and the first stage of development is taking place in a liquid environment. So this stage is from 0 to 9 months. So we have the prison of the mother's womb, or we can also consider this a shelter, of course, of the mother's womb. And at the end of this stage, we will have the exile from the mother's womb. So then we will have the physical birth. The human being, because of the anatomical particularities of the brain size, had to have a part of the fetal development outside of the mother's body. Otherwise, the locomotor function of the human female would have been affected by the oversized hips required to give birth to such a large brain. Therefore, the human being is being born without the possibility to move. It takes another 7 years until the human baby is equal to a newborn baby of another species and acquires fully the possibility of independent movement related to all the 3 levels of their complexity. So the second stage is 0 years, like birth, to 7 years, when the emotional relational gestation is taking place, and after which the social physical body is complete. It is not by coincidence that this is the age when humans are going to school, as they are ready to begin the development of the gestation of their reasoning. Notice that under the scale of planet Earth, stages of development are now in harmony with the planetary life on Earth, and more specific with Earth days, as what we perceive as years, that is, rotations around the higher trajectory of movement, are for the planet days. So basically the life of man is, because of that, in resonance with the life of the planet. A man ends in about 84 Earth days. That would be 84 years from our point of view. Of course, this is not a fixed period of time, but this is the main isomorphic attitude to have. So we had the stage from 0 years to 7 years, and this was the prison of the family circle or the primary form of schooling. We could also consider this a shelter of the family circle, and after this period is over, this would be the exile from this primary circle or primary form of schooling. The next we will have the physical movement. The third stage of development is the didactic intellectual gestation from 7 years to 14 years. Do remember that old educational systems were 7 classes based. At 14 years old, the first social identity is acquired. So this stage also corresponds to the development of the individual emotional social body. It is like a social birth. So here we will have the first interval stage on the second octave. This is the second do. So this is where the sexual abstinence and innocence is mandatory in order to ensure further optimal development of the being. Hence, the punishment of sexual acts with minors and the entire sexual trauma industry of the psychologists. Here also the trust in the social level begins, and from the cosmic point of view, the death of childhood takes place. So here on the second octave we have the erotic birth. This is where we start to discover our own sexual impulses, our own sex. We could also have here the first crash, the first time we fell in love, and starting to discover that there are also other people around us, like the opposite sex. But this from an innocence point of view. So this is the stage from 7 years to 14 years. We can consider this the prison of the secondary form of schooling. This can also be considered a shelter. As we have said, we always have this type of contradiction, prison and shelter. And at the end of this stage, this would be the exile from the secondary form of schooling. So we'll have the social birth, as we mentioned before, from 14 years to 21st. This would be the last possible gestation that takes place, the sexual gestation. This corresponds to the development of the social emotional body and to the achievement of majority, or the independent movement in society. This is the bottom stage of the Enneagram, where the Fama Sol symmetrical point to the first do is projected, and at 18 years old. And this is why in some systems, like the Romanian one, A majority and legal exercise capacity is acquired at 18 years old, at the half of this Enneagram stage, while in other systems like the USA, this is acquired at 21st years old. People have been feeling these symbolic thresholds since forever. On the second octave, the erotic growth takes place, finding out more and more about our own sexual impulses, the opposite sex, and different type of interactions and relationships involving emotions, and also starting to involve some of the physical aspect like holding hands, caressing, kissing, etc. So this stage was from 14 years old to 21st years old, 21 years old. So this would be the prison or the shelter of the tertiary form of schooling. And next we'll have the second threshold interval on the Enneagram, which requires a contradictory sexual shock, not of abstinence, but of contradictory, overlapping, superposing sexual experience for the octave to go further. This would be the third do. If not, people can die inside in this interval of age and falling back where they came from. The sexual energy gradually leaving the structures in the same order it had filled them. First reason, leaving it fossilized, then emotion, leaving it fossilized. In Romanian language, there goes even a saying about old men falling into the mind of a child, describing this old, infantile, contradictory in a bad way composition. Then, and last, the physical body, which melts down in the end, just like an empty carcass with no inner life whatsoever. So on the third octave, we'll have the sexual discovery of the other person. From the social point of view, instead of trust in the social level, like in the previous threshold, here we have opposing the social level. From the cosmic point of view, we have the death of ego. So we will stop here with this video because there's already a lot of information, and we will continue in the next video with the last part of the Enneagram of human stages, seeing the development of the first octave up to the end, and also of the second and third octaves. And for more details about the books that we have published, and also about online programs dealing with theory, practical internal exercises, and Gurdjieff movements explained step by step, you can visit Gurdjieff online. Or if you are interested only in the movements and sacred dances, you can visit the Gurdjieff movements, and there you can find different series of complexity explained step by step. All my best.